Hey guys, I'm Dov, and today I'm back with more Total War Warhammer 2 online action. We're here with the Great Green Prophet and his green-skinned boys, going to be facing up against the High Elves in the beautiful, one of the Ulthuan maps. Definitely gorgeous, in for a wild battle. Let's go ahead and jump straight to the army compositions. In terms of my army, I've got Wurzak, of course. He's carrying Effigy to get the Bonewood Staff. In terms of spells, he's got Here We Go, Fist of Gork, and Foot of Gork. So let's talk through these a little bit here. Fist of Gork is going to be very good against the High Elves because it does imbue magic damage as well as making your combat stats better. So you throw that on, for example, this Broken Tusk mob, and they'll do very well against a unit like Dragon Princes. You know, buffs their combat stats and gives them the magic damage to cut through the physical resistance. Since a lot of elite tier High Elf units do have that physical resistance, it's a nice pick in this matchup. Here We Go is basically just a castable Wog, and Foot of Gork, it speaks for itself. So not too much to talk about there. He's also got a Goblin Big Boss Buddy to help support. Infantry is a front line of Chevron Goblins. These guys have got double silver chevrons. We've got two Nasty Skulkers in the woods over here. Orc Biggin, one on each flank for a total of two. Two Black Orcs, the Warlord's Boys for the Armor Sundering here in the center. And out on the far side, we've got the Morglub's Mangy Marauders and the Hammer of Gork Catapult. For my opponent's army, he's gone pretty basic with his infantry. It's just a front line of 6 spearmen with some chevrons. This is something I see pretty commonly, and when you give these guys chevrons, they get crazy good melee defense for a very cheap cost. So definitely interesting. He's got a high mage with, Tempest and Apotheosis. Since Azag is a very common pick here, I definitely like that. Unfortunately, I brought Wurzak on the ground, so the Tempest isn't going to be wildly useful, but that Apotheosis definitely will be. Tyrion as well, of course, he's got Sunfang, I would imagine, and the Heart of Averlorn both. So, yep, good stuff. And then we've got 3 High Elf Archers, and the main killing power of the army is focused in these 2 Moon Dragons. So, very scary stuff. Let's go ahead and kick things into full gear and see what happens. So, my opponent's going to be kind of taking a hill position here. So we're going to start firing away as soon as he gets into range. A lot of these units were out of line of sight currently, so we're bringing these Mangy Marauders up and around this way to get some scouting done and just kind of scout out my opponent's position here. Already firing away with that Hammer of Gork on the dragon, since that's the only thing I can see now. But now we can see the spearmen, so we're going to be lobbing a few rocks over this way and hopefully making some solid contact here. Nothing so far, but unfortunately, these dragons are going to be a big threat to my catapult here. I honestly should pull back my whole infantry line, so I have infantry kind of on station to support this here. But, you know, it's alright for now. I'm going to make a little bit of another mistake as well here with these Mangy Marauders. I'm going to try and get kind of cute and get a charge into these archers here and just end up getting shot up and chased off by Tyrion. So, a little bit of a spoiler alert, but meanwhile, the Hammer of Gork is getting a couple of shots in here. The Mangy Marauders as well get a couple of kills on those High Elf Spearmen. Granted, they're a relatively cheap unit, although I'll have to see with the silver chevrons. I'd be curious to see how expensive they are. Probably in the 600 range, I would imagine. But the dragons are going to come down and immediately just give the artillery piece, blow up one of the pieces, and just start munching on the poor goblins manning it. So that's a rough day for us. You can see we're now finally shifting back this whole front line, which I should have done previously, but, you know, you live and you learn. We've got the Nasty Skulkers just kind of on station here. If my opponent decides to come down off the hill, which is what I'm hoping, then I can kind of bring them in for a flank attack here. It does look like we're going to just be dispatching them early on to come in on this side. You can see there the Mangy Marauders got shot up, and chased off by Tyrion here. So rough day for the Mangy Marauders. Otherwise a very useful unit, and they could have helped poke down those dragons, but they're gone for now and unlikely to return. The Hammer of Gork unfortunately did get chased off there, but those dragons wisely got back up in the air before my infantry were able to get their paws on them. So now my opponent's kind of got a pretty commanding position here on the hill. It's going to be rough to assault, but this one tattered unit of spearmen that took most of that skirmish fire is going to be inundated by these Nasty Skulkers. And just the fact that the Skulkers have so many more unit models here, they have 120 unit models versus only 55 left for these spearmen, they're going to take quite a bit of damage, and then a whole nother unit of Skulkers as well running in with their knives out. They're definitely in for a fun time. Meanwhile, just going to be pressing forward with the rest of this main line here. since my opponent does have a little bit of a ranged advantage, he's turned his focus fire onto these nasty skulkers, which is honestly a pretty good target. They are relatively low armor and unshielded, so he's also going to drop the dragons in here, which is a little bit of a risky move. I do drop the smoke bomb there to get the slow. He's going to terrify those guys immediately away, but my Warzag squad hidden in the woods here, a little bit slow to react. If I was quicker, I could have potentially got onto this dragon here, but just pressing forward with the infantry. Honestly, it's going to be a little bit of a wet noodle battle between these goblins and the spearmen. Of course, the spearmen have very high melee defense, and we're charging uphill as well, which is a little bit disadvantageous, but Black Orc's taking a little bit of damage. Their armor is definitely helping out in that particular situation. But yeah, just all across the line here, going to be getting the engagement underway. Goblins charging up the hill into the high elf lines here. And, you know, these goblins, they'll be able to hold for a minute, at least until Black Orc support arrives. And, you know, we get the Biggins in here as well. So you can see Biggins catching these spearmen out on this flank here. They're definitely going to be having their way. Biggins are a unit that should be able to make okay contact. Granted, the near 60 melee defense of these spearmen is very, very serious. We're going to be dropping an Here We Go here in this front line in just a moment. So there it goes. So that's going to proc that 44 melee attack, and suddenly these goblins have 67 melee attack. We've got, you know, 76 on these warlords boys, and suddenly these goblins get very, very scary and are going to start dealing a lot of damage. Over here, both the dragons are on the ground, and we've managed to pin one of them in place with the FG to get. Going to be bringing the hog squad in here and getting all kinds of hog wild. So the Goblin Big Boss leading the way, and then the Biggins and the Broken Tusk Mob and all the boars coming in here. Warzag's kind of tailing a little bit, but you know, he's casting some spells beforehand. So this one dragon is stuck on the ground, and it's going to be torn down in a big, big hurry, especially with Warzag in here now as well. So we're going to be dropping a Foot of Gork here as well on these two archers. They're a little bit bunched up, going to be able to hopefully get some good damage in. My opponent does not react, so we get a nasty Foot of Gork there. Just give that one unit of archers, do quite a bit of damage to the other. Thankfully for me, you know, this center unit is holding these units here, not terror routing. Granted, the Black Orcs are immune to psychology, but so far the Goblins and Warlords boys holding in as well. I guess the Warlords boys are immune to psychology also. But now we're able to collapse this flank. Spearman's gone, this dragon's gone, so we're just going to continue to bring the Hog Squad in on this side here and get all kinds of wild. You can see my opponent's trying to Dragon Breath there, but only caught one or two of the Boar Riders, so did a little bit of damage, but not too much. Now all these archers are in a really bad position. This entire flank is just collapsing super hard. You can see this mad wog of greenskins just rolling through here and rolling up this entire flank. Warzag leading the way here, smacking these haughty little high elves around. So meanwhile, the mainline fight's just, you know, holding relatively well. Black Orc's going to be dropping another Here We Go here on these Black Orcs and Goblins, giving them a nice timing burst. Same thing with these Goblins here. Going to be giving them a little bit more value. And at this point, we're going to get a general rear charge with the nasty skulkers into the various units. And yeah, it should be pretty much, balance of power is still relatively close. I mean, we do have a full health Moon Dragon to deal with here, so there is still definitely a risk. But if we keep this Hog Squad together and use them effectively, we should be able to clean up this dragon without too much issue, especially considering a lot of the high elf infantry is just crumbling. I mean, these spearmen have pretty good defensive stats, but their role is more to just hold out and allow the specialty units to get the damage done. And if the specialty units can't get the damage done, then the spearmen will just die in an attrition battle with greenskin infantry. So far, this one Moon Dragon still alive. The other one was actually shattered and is completely gone. Tyrion's still alive, though, but currently we are getting a nice circle beating on this poor High Mage here. She's going to be routed off the battlefield as well. Little hope for her left, and now at this point we've crumbled most of the infantry, and it's just Tyrion and the dragon holding out now on this hill. A very beautiful cinematic shot as we kind of get the wog rolling in on this dragon here. We've got little goblins, big orcs, black orcs, and the boars are rolling in as well. So you can see the Hog Squad still relatively healthy. Just going to be pulling in here the effigy to get dropped one more time just to make sure that dragon doesn't try and make an escape. A nice Sunfang right through that center pocket there, going to be roasting the goblins, but of course the high armor of the Black Orcs will help them stand in that pocket, and that's pretty much going to be game. So my opponent does admit defeat. Well played to him. Hope you guys enjoyed watching that battle. You know, definitely a fun time anytime you can get that Foot of Gork on some high elves. Super satisfying. So in terms of my army build, 58 kills and 58 on Warzag. 56 on his bodyguard here. Only 1 kill on the Goblin Big Boss, but again, that squad was able to take down 2 Moon Dragons with relative ease, so that's why I bring them. The Broken Tusk Mob are a surprisingly good unit. The anti-large bonus does count for a lot. Of course, the effigy to get helps pin things in place so you can get that Hog Squad on them. Throwing away those Major Marauders at the beginning was a bit of a mistake, and my opponent did a good job of neutralizing that Hammer of Gork before I got too much value out of it. But across the infantry line here, Gobos acquitting themselves relatively well, considering we're up against, expensive Spearmen. And Nasty Skulkers, 2 XP Chevrons and 75 kills, nothing to sneeze at there. 71 and 67 on the big ends, did very well. Black Orcs, not quite as many, but, they definitely helped chop through that front line and helped hold the leadership together. That's, honestly, one of the nice things about Black Orcs is because they're immune to psychology and they have good leadership, they don't rout, which then, helps to encourage your other units to stay. If the units around them aren't routing off, they're less likely to rout off as well, so kind of gives you that stabilization. 195 kills on Tyrion with that Sunfang. I really like that pick here. Honestly, I don't really disagree with this build too much. The Spearmen with the Chevrons, I mean, you can see they got a lot of kills. Most of those were coming against Goblins, but just the Moon Dragons not able to get the kills they needed to make this army work. Let's go ahead and talk through a few things here. I'm curious just to see how much those High Elf Spearmen actually are when you Chevron them up like that. So let's see, High Elves, and if we go in here to Spearmen, so just out of curiosity, yeah, so about 600 when you chevron them up that much. And I mean, with the martial prowess, it gives them close to 60 melee defense. So that's really, really good. Well, I say that. It's a very expensive unit that's just meant to hold for a long time. Granted, expensive, not really. I mean, you compare these guys to Chosen. Granted, they don't have as much armor and weapon strength, obviously, and all that jazz. But the 60 melee defense is quite formidable. But personally, against the Greenskins, I like to bring a lot of heavy cavalry. 3 Dragon Princes can pay dividends because they're going to really punish all the Greenskin infantry. And the only thing that can really stand and bang with them in a cavalry fight is the Broken Tusk Mob, and there's only one of them. So, can potentially be good there. So if you were to trade out the 2 dragons for the 3 Dragon Princes, I believe that's pretty close. So 2 Moon Dragons is 4,000. So this is, what? 42, let's see, yeah, it's a little more, but you could maybe cut down some of the chevrons on the Spearmen. But yeah, I definitely agree with the pick of Tyrion, and of course the High Mage as well. You'll very often see Azag in this matchup, so I do like that pick, like that. And Tyrion, of course, as well, with all his goodies. Something like that. And what else? And I do like the pick of the archers as well. They have really good range and can really punish the low armor of the Greenskins. And now this leaves us with a little bit of funds left. We can come in here and maybe grab 1 unit of Swordmasters just to give us a little bit of infantry killing power. And these guys will do very well against all Greenskin infantry. So, or you could swap that out and get a nice cheap Terror option like this Flamespire Phoenix. Terror is very useful against the Greenskins. So, bringing that Flamespire Phoenix, he has the Flaming Phoenix Feces as well as the relatively cheap Terror, so it can be good in this type of build. But let me know what you guys think. Hope you enjoyed watching this. If you like this kind of content, like and subscribe. I'm keeping it coming with more Total War Warhammer 2 content every single day, so stay tuned for more, and we'll see you next time.